Black Chef. Welcome to this edition of Dine and Dash. Today we're going to do 3 different pizzas, starting even with the dough from scratch. Going to be a fun show, something you can even do with your kids, show you a few tricks with this too. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome back to Dine and Dash, the pizza episode. Hope you enjoy. It's the whole video show. Now you tune in to me. Got a great evening planned. We're getting ready to work on this pizza crust. Not as difficult as people think. You just have to have a little time and a little patience. Let me show you what you need to do. So right here, pretty simple. Mix of flour, sugar, yeast, salt. That's all it takes in terms of your dry ingredients. We're going to put those in the mixer and actually let it do the work. One of the important things you have to make sure of is the temperature of your water, because you don't want to kill the yeast. The yeast is actually a live organism. You want your water to be between 100, 110. I'm hitting at about 107, so that's exactly what I'm looking for. Put the water in. A little bit of olive oil for a little elasticity and flavor. Now we're going to let the mixer do its thing. Always start them on slow. Alright, part 2 of the dough. So, started with the flour. You want to get it going a little bit with the water and with the olive oil. And right now we just have almost like a slurry. Now we want to get it to the part where it actually turns into a dough. So I'm going to turn it off, add some more flour, a little bit of a secret ingredient, keep moving. Turn it off, drop that down. Go with the flour again. Now, secret ingredient, not that big a deal, just some dried basil. I'm just a big believer in flavor, and anywhere you can add it, add it. So this will give the dough just a little something extra, a little something different. Again, start it out on slow, so your flour stays on the board, doesn't come out on you. Let this go for a few minutes. If you're looking at it, you'll actually be able to see a dough start to form, and then we're gonna shape that, let it rise, and then we'll be doing pizzas in a little while. Alright, now that we've let the dough and the mixer do its thing, now we're going to let the yeast work its magic. But the first thing we got to do, I'm going to turn this dough out, because we're going to let it rise in this bowl. And you can see that's decently sturdy dough. So now we've turned the dough out, minimize the dishes. We're going to use the same bowl. Any old non-stick spray so the dough doesn't stick as it rises. Put it back. Cover it with some plastic wrap. Put it in a warm place. Again, depends on the activation of your yeast, the temperature where you're putting it. What I do is preheat my oven at the lowest setting for about 2 minutes. 150 for 2 minutes. You don't even want it to get to 150. You just want a little heat to come up. That's what we're going to do. Put this in the oven, 45 minutes, see the magic. Welcome back, Dine and Dash, Chef Ben, the Black Chef, the pizza episode. Right now we got our yeast rising. Again, one of those things, cooking isn't as hard as people think, doesn't take as long as people think if you're organized. So while that's rising, we're going to do some work that we need to do anyway. That's why you start there first. So if you remember, you might not remember because I probably didn't say it. One of the pizzas we're doing is going to be a vegetable. The other good thing about this is there's going to be a vegetable pizza and a supreme. So you'll see I'm cutting up enough vegetables to go on multiple pieces. Again, your prep does not have to be hard. And actually, the diced ones I'm going to put in a separate bowl. Those are kind of sliced. And the way you cut them, the shape, the size, makes a difference in both the presentation and the taste. So, there we go. Lesson I taught you by accident. Keep it moving. Broccoli, if you've watched me before, as you should be, you know, cut the ends off, break these down into small florets. I'm sure a lot of people have not had broccoli on pizza. Again, if you saw one of my previous episodes, you know this broccoli cooks up nice. It gets crispy, it gets brown. It'll do the same thing on the pizza. Peppers, these are sweet. Again, shape matters. Talked to you previously about a trash bowl. We'll have that right there. Keep the workspace clean. We're gonna do these in what you could call half moons. Cut them down. And you know, when you eat pizza, you like to have different shapes on the pizza, looks different ways. Every once in a while, you like to have a messy piece, something that slides off into your mouth. Pizza's a fun food. Eat it with your kids. Just have a good time. I don't think I've ever been anywhere where you were serious and eating pizza. You're watching the game, you're at a party, you're just having a good time. So, that's what we do. Obviously, I've used a knife once or twice in my life. You might want to pay attention to the board you're cutting on. These are the jalapenos. I already took the end off. And because we're doing two different types of peppers, with those being sweet, I decided to break these down a little bit smaller. Interesting thing about jalapenos is you can never tell how hot they actually are. But what I did do this time, which I did not do in the previous episode, I took out the stems, took out the seeds, the ribs on the inside. That's where a lot of the heat is concentrated. So with this one, you'll still get some heat because it is a jalapeno, but what we're really going for is that taste and that flavor. These are plum tomatoes. We're gonna break those down into little quarters. Same thing. I've mentioned before, the most dangerous thing in the kitchen is not a knife, it's a dull knife. You get a sharp knife, it'll let you do your work quickly, safely, and efficiently. And last but not least, portobello mushroom. Again, very meaty mushroom, very hearty, takes flavor very well. Vegetarians often use them as a meat substitute, which, I mean, I don't like to say a meat substitute, either it's meat or it's not. But this is something hearty that you can eat. So we have these prepped. Need to go to the stove, do a little work over there, and we'll do that shortly. Now it's time to saute a little meat, saute a vegetable. You very rarely, this is something that I do, I just like to do. Because I do like mushrooms and they hold flavor so well, I actually like to cook mine down a little bit. Also keeps them from releasing so much liquid onto the pizza. So I have a hot skillet, a little bit of olive oil, swirl that around. Now my regulars, and you should be one, what do I call that? The sound of success. Nice hot pan, getting some sizzle, some caramelization. What I have here, just a little bit of garlic salt. Salt helps brings out the moisture in ingredients, so that's gonna help pull the moisture out. We're actually gonna let that cook down a little bit. You'll see a difference, and we'll go from there. Next, for the meat lovers pizza, we have some sausage here. I put just a little bit of oil in the skillet. Again, this is a cast iron, which I love. That way, when it starts out, it won't stick. And you start that out a little bit cooler, so you're not going to hear that sizzle, because like I said, you don't want it to stick. So now that it's in there, we'll turn that up. My dough's still rising. It will be making pizza here before too long. Now, how are we gonna, I guess we can deal with the sauce when it's time to actually start. Welcome back. Not through the magic of television, but through the magic of science. You can see how much this dough has risen. You can actually see the air bubbles in there. So that means yeast did what we wanted and needed it to do, but it's still not ready to roll out. And you see how it's already deflating? That's what we were going to do anyway, and we'll continue to do. Just knock it down a little bit. Let it rest for a few minutes just to let it settle. And then we will be rolling out pizza dough. All right, so the magic of chemistry and food science has done what it needs to do. We knock this down. Now we get ready, I'm getting ready to portion it out into 3 doughs because we're making those 3 pizzas. And I'm gonna start with one, break off the other 2, let them rest over here. Let's see how pretty these pizzas turn out. Now you can see the dough has just really worked its magic. Because we're doing 3, I'm gonna divide it into thirds. And then what you want to do, leave that one there, that's the one we're working with. Take these 2, just shake them up a little bit, but set them on the board. That'll be there. This one will be there. I did a pretty good job, they about the same size. And this is a damp, not wet towel put over top so that the dough does not dry out. So now, getting ready to be pizza roller time. Flour your board. This is a good marble top. Marble stays cool, so that works out well for me. Throw that there. Flour that. Keep plenty of flour with you because you will need it. You can't feel it, but it's interesting that this dough is actually still warm because of the yeast doing this thing, and of course we had it in a warm environment. So just take your time, roll it out. You can also see those specks in there. Remember, I put that basil in there, so we will have a little bit of extra flavor. A couple different ways you can roll it out. Again, keep it moving, keep it floured, because eventually it will stick. Then normally I would toss this up in the air, you know, like you see in the little fancy joints, but I don't have room. Plus, that's a lie. I don't know how to do that. And then sometimes what I like about working at this island, instead of moving the dough, I can move me. And you do not want or need a perfect circle. That's the fun part of cooking and working at home. And then you watch it roll out, you just have to be patient, because you see it rolls out, then it comes back. It rolls out, then it comes back. That's what pizza does, that's what dough does, that's the gluten. But actually, the good part about that is that's what adds some of the flavor and texture. Take your time, work out your anxiety, be relaxed. And you see we getting there. The dough does look pretty. 1 or 2 more times and we'll call it a wrap. Getting to be right about the size that we're looking for. last thing I'm going to do, which you don't have to, it's just a fun thing that I do sometimes. So always before you do anything, before you finish, go ahead and flip it or move it. That's how you know it's not sticking. Now, just roll it up a little bit, put a little crust, little handle on there. Again, it's not going to be as neat as some store-bought type stuff or some mass-produced type stuff, but do you want it extra neat or do you want it extra tasty? I'm betting on extra tasty. So here we go. That's our crust, and it's done. Now we get ready to build a pizza. Okay, so here comes the fun part of the pizza making. Here's the most nerve-wracking part. Then you get to the part that's the most fun. So now we have to get the dough from here to there. This is a pizza stone. Best way to cook pizza, put it in your oven 30, 45 minutes before you're gonna cook. Turn your oven up as high as it'll get. A real pizza parlor, they actually have a deck built like this. When you see them just slide it in and slide it off, it's usually some sort of stone, some sort of brick. It helps make a better crust. It pulls the moisture out. It gets really hot. So I just have some that you can buy that are not very expensive because I cook and like to eat a lot of pizza. So now we have to get this there. Traditional pizza pan, but what I have on there is a little bit of cornmeal because you don't want that to stick to that when you're trying to get it there. So it was doing well here. You saw how easily that moved. So I am confident we won't have any problems. Now when we get here, we're gonna have to move fast because you don't want to waste the heat. And there we go, and that is nice. What you did not see, because you don't put warm items on pizza, this is a homemade pizza sauce that I did earlier. Fresh tomatoes, garlic, a little bit of onion, sauteed in a little bit of oil. You can use as much sauce as you like, but believe it or not, you definitely do not want to over sauce it. You see it's cool and it's thick, and as it cooks, it'll spread out some. The other thing that's fun about pizza, again, as we do these three, make it the way you want to make it. This first one is going to be all vegetables. And hopefully, you've been paying attention the whole episode. You saw me sauteing the mushrooms earlier, sauteing sausage, separate pots, separate skillets, separate utensils, because different people eat differently for different reasons, and you want to respect that. This is a shredded cheese that I shredded myself. It's a smoked mozzarella. And actually, if you look, you can see where this crust is already starting to bubble up. That's how hot this stone is and why I want to move as quickly as possible. And cooking with pizza or cooking pizza, that heat, that extreme heat is a good thing. So here we go. The other fun thing about cooking, do what you want. Put as much or as little cheese as you like. When my niece was here, Janaya, we cooked the pizza for her birthday, and I think she decided to make hers first because she wasn't sure how much cheese we had, and she wanted to make sure she got hers together. But that's my baby, so that's quite all right. Here we go with the vegetables. If you're a regular watching my show, as you should be, what do I say? Cook and eat your colors. So we have the onions going on now. We already have the broccoli. I'm sure some of you are new to broccoli. Don't want to overdo the onions. They're raw. If you like onions, great. But if not, they can seem to be a bit much. But again, when they roast, they'll get sweeter. Here we have some tomatoes. See, we got another color going on there. If you remember the roasted portobellos. We're going with those. Again, another color. And we like pizza with a lot of stuff on it, and that's just sort of human nature. But you don't want to overdo it because you still want it to maintain some integrity. And here we go with those mixed peppers that you see me use quite often. Yellow, orange, red. You get a pound for about $3. The good thing about it is you don't have a lot of cut vegetables left in the bag going in the refrigerator. You can usually grab one or two or however many you need and use the whole thing and keep it moving. And there we go. Not many, a couple jalapenos just because. Some more green, a little bit of heat. Remember, we had this in a 480, 500 degree oven. We get ready to put it back. Be careful, trust me. If you touch that, that's a mistake you will only make one time. But here we go. And again, if you look, you can see where it's already started to puff up, cook, and rise. That reminded me. I'm so glad I touched that. Because I was supposed to put a little olive oil. Again, my regulars know I'm always talking about adding flavor at every opportunity. So this olive oil is going to add a little flavor and a little color. And because I always got a trick, and I don't think I've ever mentioned that I was actually born and raised in Philly, I have some pretzel salt. So people who like to eat and enjoy the crust, now pretzel salt is pretty salty, so I'm not going to do a lot, but if you're one of those people who like to eat your crust last, save your crust, or dip your crust in a little olive oil, this will be an added treat. Now my Philly folk will really understand. The other folk, take a trip to Philly, then you'll understand. Now we can put it in the oven. And there we go. And this one's gonna be my version of a supreme. We're gonna have a little meat, have a little veggie. Again, same thing. Start with your sauce. Start spreading that out. And this is the homemade sauce that I actually did last night. Let it sit up. Let the flavors meld. It's all good. And if y'all out there sort of peeping the apron, you can have one. This was made for me by my Aunt Della, who does not sew. She is a seamstress. Don't disrespect my people. But anyway, it's good to have folk that want to share in your success. And I told her I was doing the show, that she got me together. And if the cameraman's any good and he can get a close-up, you'll see that it's actually a quilted pattern. It is not just material that was made that way. She makes a lot of family quilts that are actually pretty treasured. And so she really, really, really got me together. It's a lot of work, and I do want to thank my auntie for looking out for her favorite nephew. So again, cheese, broccoli. Like I said, we're not gonna overdress it, especially this one's gonna have a little meat on it as well. Wish you could smell the one, because as soon as this one goes in, pizza number one is coming out. I can smell it. I can hear it calling my name. Eat me! Eat me! And we gonna take care of that shortly. These are the diced onions as opposed to the sliced onions. Like I said, different texture, cook a little different, have a slightly different look. And if you paid attention the first time, you will see that this dough was starting to puff and rise as well. These are actually beef pepperoni. So you can get those most places that sell pepperoni. At this point, they sell beef, turkey, and pork. So depending on your health, your preference, your faith, you can still eat good. So there we go. Now, of course, on that last one, the one we call the meat lovers, we gonna load that up just a little bit. Again, I believe in adding flavor where you can. So this sausage is not Italian sausage, which is traditional. It's chorizo, which is the Mexican sausage. It just adds a slightly different flavor profile. So I think we're gonna be done there. Oops, can't be. People in my house, other than my son, love mushrooms. So throw a few mushrooms on there. And just because I can, which is the fun part of cooking yourself, I am going to throw a little cheese, a little extra cheese on there. So in with pizza number 2, out with pizza number 1. You can't tell me that don't look pretty. You can almost hear how crispy that dough is. You see it ground up on the sides because of that olive oil. You see the pizza crust with the pretzel salt on it. Guarantee you, good eating. In with number 2. And then we're going to immediately start working on number 3. All right. Now that I've dined and you're getting ready to dash, let's have one for the road. Normally, we do tequila, but this is a special one to me. I'm toasting my dad, passed a couple years ago. You never forget your first love. My dad's drink was Old Granddad, so as soon as I was old enough to kind of climb up on the counter and get to it, that's what I had. So, you, Dad. Now, this is that 114. He had that 86, but it is what it is. So, like I said, you never forget your first love, old standby, standard. And every time I have it, I think about my old man. So, appreciate you, appreciate this. Last thing, y'all didn't know your boy also can get down with the baked goods. So, stay tuned for a future episode. What I have here is a carrot cake, my own recipe. Got a little pineapple in there, some walnuts. I need to invent smell-o-vision. And remember, eat good, drink better, and live your best.